Hello, algebra students. Mr. Lawrence here, and we're doing some more literal equations. Now remember, in each situation I have to tell you what to solve for, and I didn't write it down specifically, so let me add it now. In this one I want you to solve for y. Some of you are probably wondering why we never solve for x, and you'll see why in a little while. Probably not today, but solving for y ends up being a very special situation. On this one we'll solve for y. On problem number 3, we're going to solve for d. And then on this problem, we're going to solve, oops, I wrote that problem down wrong. Sorry. We're going to solve for r. That's it. There we go. Ends up being a pretty cool problem, I think, but you'll see it looks kind of weird, but it is not that difficult. Okay, so here is the first equation. Negative 5x plus 2y equals 8, and I'm going to solve for y. So the numbers that are keeping the y from being alone, oops, I don't want to write in crayon, sorry, are the negative 5x, which is attached by subtraction, and of course the 2, which is attached by multiplication. And so according to Saddam, I'm going to get rid of the subtraction first. I always use the opposite sign there. Okay, those will cancel, leaving me with 2y. That'll equal 5x plus 8. Remember, I suggested in the last video you always write your x term first. It's not incorrect, it's just easier. Sorry about that, had to fight off a sneeze. It's just easier for something we're doing later. That's right, I'm just trying to plant a seed for later on, so I'm suggesting you write the x term first. Okay, the y is still not alone, it has a 2 attached by multiplication, and so I'm going to divide by 2, but I have to divide all the terms by 2. Incidentally, if there was another number over here, and I chose to divide by 2, I'd have to divide it by 2 as well. Okay, this is part of the reason we use Saddam to tell us which steps to do when solving an equation. It eliminates some confusing kind of things. Now I'm going to get 5 over 2x plus 4, and look at that, y is all alone. All right, going to come up to number 2, same situation, going to solve for y, and I've got an x attached by addition and a negative 6 attached by multiplication. So I'm going to get rid of the addition first, subtracting x, and then I'm going to get negative 6y, which is going to equal negative x plus 12. Y is still not alone, so now I'm going to divide by negative 6. Right? Those will cancel, leaving me with y equal to a negative 1x over negative 6. It's going to be a 1/6 x. The positives or the negatives cancel out. 12 divided by negative 6, negative 2. All right. Now this last one here, we have to solve for d. Now, our third one, excuse me. I want to talk about this. Some of you are going to look at this equation and just do the work. You're not even going to think about what it's for. C and D are numbers, right? We're adding two numbers together and then dividing by 2. So in other words, what is that? That's finding the average. Yeah, we're finding the average. You add two numbers, divide by 2. What do you think the Q is for? Well, it's the answer to the division problem. It's the quotient. So you see that the letters aren't made up just to drive kids nuts. They all have a purpose. These equations that, I don't have time to explain every single one to you right now. These equations aren't just made up for the heck of it. They have the applications in the real world, okay? So anyway, let's get on to solving for D. And Let me circle the D. Now this is a weird one because that fraction's kind of mucking things up. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my fraction. Okay, now some of you have told me, I don't really get that. I'd rather get the common denominator. You can do that, but that gets pretty difficult when it comes to fractions with this many variables. And I'm going to strongly suggest you try what I'm doing. So on the right-hand side, the 2 over 2 will cancel, leaving me with just C plus D. And then 2 times Q is 2Q. Now, some of you are wondering why I didn't listen to Saddam on this one, because this 2 was attached to both the C and to the D. It wasn't this situation. In this situation, I would have subtracted off the C first and then multiplied both sides by 2. But when that 2 is under the entire denominator, or that there's any number under there, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that number first because he's attached to more than one thing. Okay, D's still not alone. I have a C attached by addition. Whoops, that doesn't look much like a C. And so I'll get 2Q minus C, and that'll equal D, and there you go. Okay, problem 4. Well, I've got a lot of fractions. You guys should know what to do. The only problem might be, what do I end up multiplying by? Well, I'm going to look at my 3 denominators. The LCD of 5 and 10 would be 10, right? But there's another denominator here, R. So I'm going to multiply through by 10R. Okay, oops, 10R over 1. So this first problem becomes 10R over 1 times 1/5. Then I'll have, after I distribute, 10R over 10 plus 10R. Oops, I should write that differently, excuse me. Got ahead of myself. 10R over 1 plus 1/10, times 1/10. Sorry, it's very early on in the morning. It's only about 6:21 if you can see the time on the bottom of my computer there, and I'm still waking up. I do apologize. Oop, I did it again. Okay. There we go. That looks a little bit better there. Okay, so now look at this. And I see I have 10/5. The 10's going to cancel and turn into 2, and the 5 is going to turn into 1. Notice the R didn't cancel because there was no R in my denominator to cancel it out with. So if I multiply my numerators, I think I'm going to get a plain old 2R. Now over here, I've got 10 over 10. Those will both turn into 1s. My numerator becomes 1 times R times 1, which is just a plain old R. And then here, I have R over R. Those will cancel, leaving me with just plain old 10. Well, now it's an easy problem. It's kind of cool how that all works out. I don't like having R's on both sides. I'll subtract this R, leaving me with R equal to 10, and I'm done. Yeah, pretty simple stuff. Okay, that's your video for today. Mr. Lawrence signing off. Good night, everybody.